This presentation will be on CWU Intensive Spanish and Leon program. Here you can see a photo of CWU students in 2019 participating in the program, right in the heart of Leon. I am Steve Cook, the Associate Director of Education Abroad and the primary contact for the CWU and Leon program. Here you can see my email, stephen.cook@CWU, and you're also welcome to schedule an appointment with me through our website, cwu.edu/educationabroad, all one word. We'll start with a program overview. So this program is a partnership with the Centro de Idiomas de la Universidad de León in León, Spain. It's possible to study for summer, quarter, full academic year. It is an intensive Spanish program with levels from A1 to C1 based on the common European framework. Accommodation is available, and the three main types are student residences, private accommodation, and homestays. We'll go into more details in these in a moment. Local excursions in and around the city of León and the province of León are included in the tuition that's paid, and also factored into the curriculum of the program. There are also additional overnight excursions farther afield that are offered for small fees. So, and here you can see myself and Dr. Johnson from Department of World Languages and Cultures at CWU in front of the Centro de Idiomas building. So for those of you who are not sure where León is, you can see it pinned at the very top of the map with the blue pin. So it's up in northern Spain. Depending on which train you're taking, it's approximately 2.5 to 5 hours by train from Madrid, and still very easily accessible to Madrid if you wanted to travel there. You would fly into Madrid and then make your way to León from there, more than likely. Here is a kind of a basic map of León to show you where in the city the Centro de Idiomas is. The main university is outside the city on the outskirts, but the Centro is the red pin at the lower part of the map. And then there are key pins here for things within the heart of the city that gives you an idea of how far away it is by foot from how far away the Centro is from the city center. So the orange pin is the 11th century Basilica de San Isidoro. The purple pin is the Cathedral of León, and then the yellow pin is the Plaza Mayor. So all of them were then about a 15-minute walk, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how fast you walk. Some people walk faster, some people walk slower. All right. And by the way, all of the photos you will see in these slides are taken in León, most of them by me or by Dr. Johnson when we visited there. So the program terms, students can go at any point in the year. During the summer, there are 2 4-week sessions that can be combined into a single 8-week session. So the July session runs from early July to late July. The 2023 dates, to be precise, are the 3rd of July through the 28th of July. The August session will run approximately from late July to late August. The 2023 dates are the 31st of July through the 25th of August. During the academic year, there are 3 academic terms at the Centro. The main university is on semesters, but the Centro is essentially on quarters. And so these terms do match well with CWU's quarters. The fall term runs from early October through mid-December. And in 2023, the exact dates will be the 4th of October through the 20th of December. That's only slightly shorter than, well, that's approximately our quarter, just shifted a little bit. In the winter, the program will start in early January and go through approximately mid-March. The 2024 dates are the 8th of January through the 14th of March. The spring term will be late March, early April to mid-June. It may depend on when certain holidays like Easter fall. So 2024 dates will be the 1st of April through the 12th of June. Again, not too dissimilar from our spring quarter. Right. In terms of academics, see one of the classrooms in this photo. Some Spanish language, previous Spanish language is recommended going in, but it's not required. Absolute beginner students who have never taken Spanish before can participate, but they will have a steeper learning curve. As I said earlier, the available language levels range from A1 to C1, and a placement test will be given on the first day of the program, and then they will place you according to those tests. There are generally 2 classes per day, and they're roughly broken into reading and writing, and then speaking and listening. Students can be placed in different levels for each of these classes if it's appropriate. So this could be a benefit to, say, heritage speakers of Spanish who may have stronger speaking and listening skills, but maybe need a little more work on reading and writing, or some version of that. The Centro is very accustomed to accommodating students with those differing needs. Beyond C1 level, though, so highly advanced. This may not be the most appropriate program for students. You can see the daily timetable. So you have a class between 9:30 and 11:30 in the morning. Pardon me. And then a short break, about half an hour. And then the second class of the day will run from noon to 2 p.m. Then you'll have, depending on the day, you may have the afternoon free, or this is oftentimes when excursions will take place. And as I said before, the local excursions are part of the curriculum. The credit the students can earn during the summer, it's up to 8 to 16 credits. So 8 for one of the 4-week sessions, and 16 if you do both of them. For a quarter, it's up to 24 credits each quarter. So obviously, if you did 2 or 3 quarters, excuse me, that would be 2 or 3 times 24. And this will work as transfer credit. So the Centro will send transcripts to me in OISP, and then we will work with the registrar and department to transfer those through, and you will see them in your transfer credit report once the entire process is finished. So let's go over some of the excursions, and these are the local ones that are, again, in most of these will be included in the curriculum. The workshops that are referred to here may not be. So some of the examples of previous excursions within the city or the province of León are a tour of the city itself, a tour or visit to the cathedral, which is built in the 13th century, so the 1200s. A tour of the 11th century Basilica de San Isidoro and the Royal Crypt. One of the interesting features of this is, so this was going to be built in the 1000s, and within the basilica, in a couple areas, there are Moorish architectural designs that are incorporated into the church. And then the Royal Crypt were for the kings or the rulers of the province of León, which Spain was not united at the time. And there are no bodies left in the crypt, but you can see the designs, and there's some beautiful fresco painting in the ceiling. Another potential excursion will be to the Museum of Contemporary Art of Castile and León, also known as MUSAC. They have in the past taken students to the neighboring town of Astorga and visited the chocolate museum there. They've also visited the national park, Picos de Europa, which are some beautiful mountains. And then there's also the Valporquero Cave, which, if you're familiar with Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, then this is very similar. And then I referred to a moment ago some of the workshops. So there are other potential activities that could be fee paying, and so like dance workshops or cooking workshops, things of that nature, like making tortilla española, for example. Which tortilla española is all over the city of León. You'll find it in just about any shop, and it's often given free as kind of a tapas. So tapas in León are free with the purchase of a drink. In a lot of cafes, when you get a coffee, one of the frequent offerings is a piece of tortilla española, and it's all delicious, by the way. As I said a little bit earlier, these excursions often take place in the afternoon, the evening, or depending on what they are, the weekend. Like for the ones that are a little bit farther, or like to the national park in the mountains, that might take place on the weekend. Generally, the other ones, like city tours and things of that nature, will take place in the afternoon or evening. And in the excursions, with the possible exception of the workshops, are going to be included in the tuition and will be required as part of the curriculum. So you don't have to pay extra for those, and you would need to attend. So as I kind of referred to a little bit earlier, there's three main types of accommodation. These are homestays. So these are experienced local families, local families who have hosted students or at least have been vetted by the Centro staff. And in the photo, you can actually see on the left of the screen is Rosa, who works for the Centro, and then the mother of one of the at least previous host families. This photo was taken in 2018, so 5 years ago. So she may not be actually a home mother anymore, but she is representative. And you see Dr. Johnson and myself in the photo as well. Homestays are a good opportunity for language and culture immersion. While at least one member of the family may speak English, by and large, you're going to be in a Spanish-speaking environment, and they will speak Spanish to you. And obviously, then you'll get to see how at least that family lives from a cultural perspective. Meals, 3 meals per day, as well as laundry service are included in the cost of the homestay, which at the moment is approximately 27 euros per day. That is subject to change based on the Centro's policies. Another option is a student residence, also known as a residencia. There are various types of things of these, some of which will look very much like a dorm or student residence here at CWU. Others are going to be in an apartment style living. And so for an example of this, this is one of the residencias. It's actually a converted abbey. So at one point there were nuns living here, and these were the nuns' cells. So you'll have your own bed. There could be, I think, anywhere from single to 3-room apartments. You're able to cook for yourself. There's laundry facilities in the basement of this. The costs of residencias are going to vary based on a number of different options as well. And then there are shared flats for those students who are going to be there for a longer period of time, such as an academic year or maybe 1 or 2 quarters. So these are not available to summer. So these are going to be private accommodations, flats within the community. And the quote there, only for full-time and long-term students, is directly from Centro's website. All of the homestays, at least, will be within about a 20-minute walk of the Centro's building. So they're going to be very close. So you won't necessarily need to take public transportation. As I said, 3 meals a day are provided for the homestay, so that means you would be expected to go home for lunch, and then go to the excursion, for example, if there's one that evening, or at the very least, give your host family a good deal of notice that you won't be around. Okay. So we'll move on to the additional optional excursions. So some examples of these are to Galicia up in the northwest corner of Spain, so including a visit to A Coruña, to Santiago de Compostela, including the cathedral there that is the terminus of the Camino de Santiago, and then also Cabo Fistera, which in Spanish is known as Finisterre, or the end of the world. So it is one of the most westernmost points, at least for Spain. They've gone up to the Basque Country, the País Vasco, specifically to San Sebastian. They've taken the students to Andalusia, to Asturias, to Madrid, and potentially others as well. So these are, again, not necessarily a guarantee of what you will do. They're just examples of what have been done, but some of these are likely to be offered while you're there as well. These are, again, for a small extra fee that will include certain meals, accommodation, and transportation, and it's usually somewhere around 150 euros. That can change, obviously, particularly in the economic effects of the post-pandemic, quoting from memory from previous one when I visited, but it's still going to be approximately the same, right? Speaking of costs, we'll move on to talking about the cost, because that is obviously an important thing. So some costs we will collect, CWU will collect, you'll find them on your CWU account, and then we will pay them on your behalf to the Centro de Idiomas. So you can see these are for the summer. The things you'll pay to CWU are our application fee, our service fee, insurance, which we then pass on to the insurance company, and then we'll collect the CDI tuition. And then, as long as it is for homestays, the housing cost as well. For these, the final amounts of what you're actually charged will include bank transfer fees, or at least some buffer for that. And then all of these are subject to change. They are estimated, and particularly what the fees like the tuition and the housing that are controlled by the Centro de Idiomas, those can change without us knowing, in necessarily a timely fashion anyway. The cost that you'll pay directly to whichever source will be the optional excursions, personal expenses, airfare, for example, travel to and from the airport, and then if you need one, the cost of your passport. For US citizens, a student visa is not necessary for summer programs, even for the longer 8-week session. The number of those optional excursions that are available to you will depend on how long you're there, whether you're there for a 4-week session or an 8-week session, and then if you are there for a 4-week session, which of the two that you are there. So you can see all in, the estimated cost of participation is about 4,500 for the 4-week session, and a little bit under 7,000 for the 8-week session. You are not paying CW tuition on top of this. These costs are what you would pay. The only time you're going to pay CW tuition and fees is if you are taking online classes or other summer classes in addition to the classes on this program. Right. So during the academic year, things are slightly different. It's going to depend on how many quarters you intend on doing, but the same basic structure will be the same in terms of what we collect and what you pay directly. One thing to note, however, is that for, again, with the student visa for US citizens, visas are not required for programs less than 90 days. However, when you get beyond that, even US citizens are required to have a student visa. And the visa itself, the last I checked, was approximately $160. But the Consulate General of Spain in San Francisco is the one that has jurisdiction over Washington State. And Spain does require visa applicants to travel to the consulate and not only submit their application in person, but to pick up the visa in person as well once it's approved. So that can be a challenge for some. For non-US citizens, international students, you are certainly more than welcome to participate as well. But for the student visa, you'll have to double check to see whether Spain requires a visa for your citizenship, for your country of citizenship. We cannot provide substance assistance for the visa application. However, if you need a specific document such as confirming enrollment or something of that nature, we can certainly provide that for you or assist you in obtaining it. But we are not legal experts by any stretch of the imagination. Again, during the term, you are not paying CWU tuition. The only time you would pay CWU tuition would be if you are taking online classes in addition to the classes in Spain. And so, and just about wrapping up, the application process, it's kind of a two-stage process. The first one is to fill out the CWU application, which you can find at this website, www.cdu.edu/educationabroad/apply. Within the application in the early stage, we are going to ask you to indicate your accommodation preference, because that will determine some of the documents the system deploys later for you. You're also required to request a disciplinary clearance from student contact, and there are instructions for doing that within the application. The second stage is the CDI application, or the Centros application, and then, at least if you are choosing for a homestay, it's housing form. The CWU application system will deploy these to you so you can download them, complete them, and then upload them back into the system for me to download, and I will send them to the Centro on your behalf. And then the third phase is all the post-acceptance documents, both for CWU and then potentially for Leon, and whatever processes you will need after that, including airfare and visa and things like that, where applicable. All right. That is all of the information. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Again, my email address, I will back up and so you can read it. So you can see my email address here, stephen.cook@, let me do that again, stephen.cook@cwu.edu. You're also free to schedule an appointment with me. I'm always happy to talk about study abroad in general and this program in particular. Thank you for watching the video. I hope to hear from you soon.